Accessing screws and bolts isn't always straightforward, and sometimes you need that little bit more specialist tool for the job. In front of me here I have the Wera Kraftform Kompakt SH PlumbKit, which includes spanners and ratchets designed to cope with those awkward spaces. Using this demo box, I'm going to show you how amazing this kit is and how it will deal with those difficult to reach situations. First up, I'd like to thank Miles Tool and Machinery Centre for loaning me this fantastic kit. Miles has an online store with a massive range of brands, so please show them some support by checking out their shop. This demo box is based on the Wera version. I just threw in a few extra, well, obstacles. I fixed it down to the tail, so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to start off by showing you the hollow shaft spanners that come with it. They come both 10 and 13 mil. Both decent size, really comfortable to hold, very long shafts for your bolts to go down. Now let's just find out just how deep these are. I've got a nice long screw here. Let's give it a rough idea, and we are looking at just over 12 centimeters for the 13 mil, and we are looking at just over 10 centimeters for the 10 mil. Now these things are great because obviously if you've got lots of obstacles in the way, you can't get to your nice long shaft that you need to, on your nice long bolt that you need to get to, you simply just slot it over the top and it will take it all the way as far as you need it to go. Obviously these are new nuts and bolts, so they're very smooth and easy to maneuver. On a old vehicle, for example, I would expect that to be rusty and covered in grease and dirt, so it may obviously be a little bit more difficult for that. So moving on, other items in this kit include the Joker spanners. Now these things are really good. Again, they both come in standard sizes. They've got the common sizes of 10 and 13 millimeters. They're color coded, so these colors always match the size throughout the entire Wera system. These are numbered on both sides and at both ends, and obviously got the Wera logo in the middle. They have directional arrows for the ratchets, and they are only one way ratchets. They will not go the other way, so you will need to turn it over because there is no locking mechanism to switch between one direction or the other. But if you see how thin they are, you'll understand why. Now these things are fantastic because they have multiple teeth in the end of the spanner for gripping on one side, and on the other side they don't, they're flat. Now the reason for that is that if I take a 10 mil nut here, it will slide on like a normal nut on one way because it's nice and flat, but if I change it, just offset it very slightly, it won't go in. But that does mean that when I put the nut in on the other side of it, it stays in there. So if I have, like I have here, a sideways bolt that needs to be screwed onto, or it's in a difficult position and I have to feed the spanner through a hole and then get a nut from the other side, which I have to do up from behind in a bad position, then the nut will be stable enough, held in the socket spanner, that I can just get it started and get it to the point that it goes on, and then we can just spin it to get it to the point of where it starts to go tight, and then you just rotate it and start using the ratchet. And typically when you're on film, it never goes quite to plan, does it? But you get the idea. Now if I just compare a 13 millimeter spanner against the 13 millimeter Wera here, you see that the heads are very different in direction and shape. So the Wera one is straight on, whereas the other spanner is got a slight angle to it. Now this is pretty typical of most spanners. So if you come down to this nut that I've got just down here, you see there's a screw in the way on one side and a piece of wood on the other side causing an obstacle. And when I take the spanner in there, you see it won't go in that way, so I have to flip it over, come back, and again it still won't actually get in there because of the angle. And there we go, finally got it on there, but there's very little room to maneuver in there. So I could take it one way, but if I wanted to undo it, for example, I just couldn't get in there very easily with the obstacles in the way. Now this is where having the multiple teeth on the end of the Wera comes in really useful, and the fact that it's flat as well, because I can get it in there. And there you go, it's turning. If I rotate it again, and it just gives that little bit of extra space, that those extra degrees, which allows you to do the job that an ordinary spanner won't allow you to do. And also because it has that plate on it, when you're in the right position, it will lock on. It won't fall. You see, I'm just tapping on the top. It won't fall through, and it will stay on the nut. Absolutely brilliant piece of kit. The Zyklop Ratchet. Now I do love these. This is just the 1/4 inch version. Very useful tool. It has a spinner in the middle, so that if I rotate the head straight on, I can do up screws, I can do up nuts in a much faster speed than just cranking it up normally. Multiple angles, as you can see by the cutouts on the top of the head, which allow me to change the direction of where I need it to get to. So, and it also comes with a 7, 10 and a 13mm socket heads, and they lock in as well using the barrel. And you physically have to push them in the back like most decent tools to release. So the likelihood of you getting this stuck on the end of your nut or bolt, whilst your arm's stuck in the realms of the engine bay or whatever it is you're working on, you're not going to leave the socket behind, because it's so frustrating when you end up losing them. But just to demonstrate on this bolt here, you can see that I can do a straight on, although I can't actually do it up because it's very tight in there, but I can change the angle, bring it down, and that's not at a true 90 degrees, but if I can do it again, and then I can turn it to a true 90 degrees. Very useful, versatile tool. And there's another great thing with this as well. When it's straight onwards, so when it's on sideways, obviously the release button is at the back here to release the socket. But if you're straight on like that, obviously you can't get your hand in there to do that. You can't release it. But what Wera have done, they've intelligently thought of this by pushing the lever forward. It releases the socket or the bit or whatever it is you have on the end without having to change the angle of the head. In the kit it also comes with a screwdriver bit holder and some screwdriver blades. Simply clip straight in there. So not only is this a socket, it's a screwdriver. Fantastic piece of kit. Now I've got a screw right down here, a bit of a tight angle. Changing the head on it. They can't actually get in there with this one because it is actually a little bit too long for the box that I built. But what I do have is I do have a standard Wera PH2 bit, which will obviously fit in there. This doesn't come with the kit itself, but you can get these separately, or any standard bit will do. But as you can see, as I bring this straight in here, it will go in there nicely. And like I said, on camera, things just don't always go to plan, do they? Get it nicely lined up, and we can drive the screw in, or take it out, depending on the direction you wish to go in. So another thing that this is really good at is by taking the 10mm socket here, and we've got this bolt head just down here, attach it on there. You'll see that this side here will infringe, and it will stop me from getting a decent turn and purchase on the top of that head. There's just too many obstacles in the way. But by changing the angle, even very slightly on here, allows me to get in there and allows me to get past the obstacle to do the job that I need it to do. Very good piece of kit. Really like these ones. Another part of the kit comes with a holding function on the star drives. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this works. It's something that Wera have come up with, but it does work. It's like having a magnetic screwdriver without the magnetism. This decking screw, which you can see is long enough. It is 25 centimeters long, so a normal screw bit would struggle to hold that. So if I just take the right bit, that'll be this one here. Look at that. It's just holding it. It's brilliant. Most normal screwdriver bits would that would just fall out straight away. Yeah, I'm giving it a shake there. In fact, it was a little bit difficult to get that out. Really fantastic idea that Wera have got there. So that pretty much sums up the usefulness of this kit. However, there is one thing I have missed out. There is a chisel driver. Now, this is the bit I have actually been looking forward to the most, because if you can bring the camera in here, I'm hoping it can pick up this big splodge of glue which is down on the wood here. And by the chisel driver, the shaft runs all the way through to the handle, and there's a whacking point on the back. And it is a fairly sharp, I mean it's flat, I mean it's a proper screwdriver, but it's quite a sharp edge on that. So let's start beating some things, just to see how good that's really going to be. Now I'm just going to pause here for a second, because before we do anything like this, don't forget your PPE. So PPE, obviously now at the ready, let's see if we can remove this glue. So, oh, that's so easily coming off. It's obviously taken the wood with it as well, but that was to be expected. But that was just a quick demo of what this can do. Obviously, I mean, it could be concrete, cement, other things like that. In fact, let's see if I can find some very quickly to have a good go at. So the glue came off a little bit too easy. I think it was just too easy for the tool. So I'm just going to go to the other extreme. I'm going to try just taking the corner off of this concrete block. Not something I'd recommend doing, but just for the testing purposes, let's give it a go. That is doing it so easily. And still sharp enough to still be used as a screwdriver. I hope you found this useful, and if you have any questions, drop me a comment below. If you already own this PlumbKit, what's the most awkward task that you also solve for you? Please share your experiences and comments, as it would be great to hear from you. Before I go, I'd like to thank Miles Tools and Machinery Centre for the loan of this fantastic kit, and please check out the link in the description box to visit their store and buy one for yourself. Until next time, Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. I've fixed my demo box down to the table so it's not going to go anywhere when we...
Wriggle shoulders.
In front of me I have the Wera Kraftform Kompakt SH1 PlumbKit. You can take it over, line it up, and on it goes, he says. Just like that.